Doc, thank you so much.
Driving around in circles, trying to avoid downed trees.
Detours.
Yeah. Joining us on the phone now is Mayor Richard Mosha, Mayor of Norwalk. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us this evening.
Thank you.
Mayor, what's happening in Norwalk right now?
Well, probably the same that is happening just about every other coastal town. We have about 32 to 33,000 people without power. We have trees down all over the city, roads flooded that I never thought would ever be flooded. I've ever seen flooded. We've got our high riders out trying to get people out who unfortunately didn't follow my advice or the governor's advice to evacuate when they had the opportunity. Many people now are having their cars flooded, and we've had to pull them out. The governor has said he wants everybody evacuated. We're doing the best we can. Our shelters are starting to fill up. We're probably heading toward 200 right now. Now we have the problem that our sewer treatment plant at high tide will be underwater, which means the electric company was over there, for lack of a better term, de-electrifying, turning off all the power to all the equipment, because certainly we don't want the water hitting live wires, which would just fry the equipment and put us out of business for quite a period of time. I put out some code red messages, and we'll be giving out more information tomorrow, asking people, it's not a pleasant situation dealing with waste and sewage, asking people to try to cooperate, not flush as much, to use bags in the urinals or in the toilets. It's a situation, I think, we're waiting to get a report. There may be some other towns on the coast that may be facing the same problem with their sewage treatment plants. The governor and myself, and again, other elected officials, have said from day one that this was going to be a storm unlike any other that we've seen in recent memory, and unfortunately, it's coming to fruition. We are looking at, we have closed our schools until Wednesday. I'll be meeting with the superintendent tomorrow when I meet with my staff, the EOC, tomorrow morning. I just left the EOC to try and clean up a little bit and get refreshed for the night to come. My feeling is, again, along with others, I think that schools are probably going to have to be closed the rest of the week, because I do not see the power being restored in my city or in other cities much before the end of the week. The crews can't go out right now because of the high winds and the dangers they face. So it's a multitude of problems, and you've been covering and again talking to other elected officials. It boils down to power, flooding, sewage treatment plants, people who did not originally listen to our first call for evacuation, and utilizing our shelters as best we can. This is going to be a cleanup that's going to take a while, even after the storm goes through.
Mayor Mosha, do you dread what you're going to see in the morning at daylight?
Yeah, and again, as probably all our residents are going to see, when I left the EOC to drive home, I was dodging trees and darkened streets myself, and I saw some of the damage. I look out the back window of my condo, and one of my fellow condos has a tree on his deck. There's several trees in the woods around my area that have fallen. So far, I'm sort of in between two darkened areas on my street. My power's still on. Not going to, I hope the residents understand I don't have any special powers to keep my power on. It's just the luck of the draw. Actually, last year during Irene, I had one person accuse me of using my influence to keep my lights on, so I have to put that caveat out there. I'm not any better than anybody else. I'm just a little luckier right now.
Yeah,
hey, Mayor, if only, I mean, that would be something. All right.
Mayor, you did...
trust me, if I had that kind of power, we wouldn't be going through what we're going through right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
You'd be sharing it. Mayor, you did say that you have about 200 people in your shelters, and those shelters are starting to fill up. Are you concerned about getting to a point where they could reach an overcapacity situation?
It could be. We have our Brian McMahon High School, which can hold 400 to 450. We have the alternate site at Norwalk High School. We've made arrangements, if necessary, over the next day or so, that we can open that shelter. We have about 250 cots we can move in there. We are providing hot meals at Brian McMahon. The Sioux food service people that service our Board of Ed were more than generous. They've kept people there. And when you're going through all the problems of coming from wet situation, there's nothing better than a hot meal. So we've been able to provide hot food. We've been able to provide shelter for their animals as long as they're in a cage, for dogs and cats. And if necessary, we'll move to open Norwalk High to provide additional shelter rooms should we need it. I was just on the phone with my fire chief and emergency management people. We've got a high rider, our own, and we've got a high rider from the National Guard that had a unit stationed at our armor here in New Canaan Avenue. And we're using those to rescue, again, from streets that we had asked people as the water came up, please leave, and they didn't do it. And they're watching their cars go underwater because they didn't move them, and we've had to pull them out. Obviously, there's nothing you can do about their houses. We understand that. So I think people are beginning to realize now what the governor had been saying all along, and rightfully so, unlike anything we've yeah.
A little late on that. I hope, are your people putting themselves at risk to rescue people who didn't listen to the warnings in the first place?
Well, our firefighters and using the high riders, which can go through deep water, anytime our first responders, police, fire, EMS go out in conditions like this, they face risk. What we've done for our police officers who are not a part of the rescue, we pull them off the road because of the dangers of falling trees at any time, and we've stationed them in safe areas. And should true emergencies come up where they're needed for any reason, we'll then dispatch them. But we're not just going to have them patrol through the towns because we'll be putting them at risk also. So it's mainly with our rescue people using the high riders with the National Guard and trying to get everybody out to the shelter. If the water recedes tomorrow morning, people will at least be able to go back to their homes tomorrow morning. They may not have power, may not want to like what they're going to see, but at least it may be only for overnight while they have to be at the shelter. But again, trying to protect all of this, there's so many moving pieces, so many moving parts. I can't tell you that Irene last year was good training. We've been doing tabletop exercises for 3 years with our emergency planning, and it's born to fruition. But there's only so much you can do, and then you're at the whim of Mother Nature and the elements, and that we can't control.
Mayor Richard Moshe, Norwalk, thank you so much for taking the time and all that information you passed along. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, too. Thank you.
We want to take you live now to Old Saybrook.